So in case any of you need translations, you may want to go out and pick up a headset.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jocelyn Padron Racines, and I am the student body president at the University of Florida. Today, I have the distinct honor of introducing the moderator for the panel titled The Growing Contribution of Women in Media, Ms. Anita Zucker. I had the privilege of meeting Anita when I first started serving on the University of Florida's Board of Trustees, where she was appointed and has been serving since 2015. I quickly learned that Anita is a global business leader, an educational policy advocate, and a philanthropist. She currently serves as the chair and chief executive officer of the South Carolina-based global conglomerate, the InterTech Group. The InterTech Group and its affiliates operate in a diverse group of industries ranging from aerospace and specialty chemicals to real estate and entertainment. In 2008, Anita became the first female governor of the Hudson-based company in the company's 338-year history. She is also a leader in Charleston in South Carolina, where she has served as chairperson of the Board of Governors of the School of Business at the College of Charleston, and she has also served on the advisory boards of the School of Humanities and Social Sciences and Jewish Studies. In addition, Anita is a past board and executive board member of the Trident United Way. And among these, she has plenty of other accomplishments and a life dedicated to leadership and service. Let's please welcome your moderator, Ms. Anita Zucker.
Jocelyn, thank you so much. I'm truly honored to have Jocelyn here this afternoon from the University of Florida, as well as Josiah, who you saw earlier, translate for us. So we welcome them to Charleston, and we welcome all of you. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm sorry we haven't brought you a sunnier day today on your arrival, but at least we're in a warm, comfortable place. It may be a little cool. So I'm Anita Zucker, and again, buenas tardes a todos. Me llamo Anita Zucker y quisiera darles las gracias por esta oportunidad. I'm really thrilled to be with all of you this evening and to have the opportunity to be a part of the Inter-American Press Association, and we're thrilled that the 71st General Assembly is here in our beautiful city of Charleston, South Carolina. I also want to thank the Evening Post Industries, Pierre Manigault, and Robbie Scott and Pamela J. Browning for inviting our company and myself to participate in this incredible event. In preparing for this afternoon, I was shocked by some of the statistics I found in my research. Beyond all the strides we've made on behalf of professional women, in 2015, gender diversity remains a problem in every branch of media. Although the numbers fluctuate across various segments, and there are always exceptions, the percentage of women working in media seems to hover around 33% and drops far below this in some cases. Charlotte Alter, writer for Time.com, shared some startling facts about the imbalance of women in media. In the news industry, surprisingly, women are on camera only 32% of the time during evening broadcasts, and are contributing to only 37% of printed news stories. Men report 65% of political stories, 63% of science coverage, and approximately the same percentage of world politics and criminal justice news. Men still report nearly 90% of sports news, and the overall commentators on Sunday morning talk shows are more than 70% male, leading to the conclusion that opinions are apparently a male thing. I hope we'll hear differently from our panelists today. Few would argue that it's time for change, and that's precisely why we are here. I'm thrilled to hear from each of our panelists today to learn more about their perspective and insight. It's both an honor and a privilege to be invited to introduce you to three incredible women, each having solidified their role as a leader in the media industry and tireless in their fight for gender equality. First, I'll introduce Pamela J. Browning. She became the Senior Vice President with Evening Post Industries and President of the Evening Post Industries newspaper division in July of 2013. She is also President and Publisher of the Post and Courier in Charleston. Prior to Charleston, she was President and Publisher of the Sun News in Myrtle Beach and President and Publisher at the Telegraph in Macon, Georgia. She is a graduate of Southwest Missouri State University with a Bachelor of Science in Marketing. First, I'm going to introduce all three before I ask you to speak. María Elvira Domínguez has been associated with the Cali, Colombia newspaper El País since 1996. There she served as Director of Planning and Projects, Administrative Planning Manager, and General Manager. Since 2007, she's General Manager and Publications Director. Previously, she was Planning Director of insurance company La Previsora and Development Manager of insurance company De Lima y Cia S.A. in Bogotá, Colombia. She is a member of the boards of directors of the Colombian Newspapers Association, Andiarios, Grupo Nacional de Medios S.A., Coprensa S.A., Periódicos Asociados, LTDA, Constructora Alpes S.A., and Prensa Moderna Impresores S.A., and a member of the governing board of Universidad ICESI University in Cali, and a member of the executive committee of the Inter-American Press Association. She is an administration graduate of the Universidad de los Andes, Université Bogotá, with postgraduate studies in senior management and an MBA from that university. And now for our third guest. And I must let you know that our next guest must leave us a little bit early this evening, so after I introduce her, I'm going to ask a couple of questions, and we'll start with Patricia Janiot, news anchor, journalist, hostess, beauty queen, and former model. Born in, she is beautiful,
My model career was very short.
Bucaramanga, Colombia. She has been associated with CNN News presentations since 1992. Since its founding in 1997, she has been the main presenter of CNN en Español and advisor to the chain's senior vice president, Cynthia Hudson. She contributes with a weekly column for CNN en Español radio network. Currently, she hosts the programs Panorama Mundial, Nuestro Mundo, and Patricia Janiot Presenta. She has received numerous journalistic recognitions and was named to the Hispanic Media 100, a recognition of the most influential Hispanic journalists and news executives in the United States. She studied social communication at the Universidad de la Sabana University in Bogotá and radio broadcasting and production at the Colegio Superior de Telecomunicaciones College there. She has a degree in English from Cambridge University. And I hope you'll all forgive me if my pronunciation in Espanol is not so top-notch, because I'm really not fluent, but I did take Spanish in high school. So I'm doing the best I can with that. And this afternoon, I would love to ask you each to speak a little bit about your background in media and talk a little bit about your current role as a media executive. Patricia?
Gracias, Anita. I just want to first ask how many people speak Spanish in this room so we can decide if we're going to do it in English or in Spanish. So the majority, let's be democratic. I hope the English translation will work for the non-Spanish speaking. Anita, contestando tu pregunta, yo creo que mi papel en periodismo pues ha sido privilegiado. Yo comencé primero en la radio en mi país, en Caracol Radio, después pasé a formar parte de un equipo de investigación periodística, del programa periodístico, el 60 Minutes de Colombia en la época, que se llamaba Testimonio. Y de ahí pasé a presentar y a trabajar en reportajes especiales en el noticiero Krypton, que era un noticiero de fin de semana. Después tuve la oportunidad de dejar mi país y viajar a Estados Unidos. Allí comencé en Los Ángeles a trabajar en el canal local, en KMEX, el canal local de Univision en Los Ángeles. Me trasladé a Nueva York también para trabajar con Univision y de ahí a CNN, donde ya llevo trabajando 23 años. Y con CNN especialmente, pues he sido testigo de los eventos políticos, sociales, naturales que han definido nuestra historia reciente en las últimas 2 décadas. Mi enfoque ha sido más en cubrir información política. Entonces, yo te diría que he cubierto la mayoría de las últimas elecciones en América Latina, he tenido el privilegio de entrevistar pues muchos de los presidentes de las últimas décadas, de nuestros líderes, seguir la transformación que ha vivido Latinoamérica y no tal vez a la velocidad que todos quisiéramos o añoramos. Pero ha sido un trabajo muy gratificante porque trabajo para una empresa que tiene una palabrita mágica, que es CNN, y abre muchas puertas. Y tenemos una filosofía que respetamos, que edificamos, que construimos a diario. Es el patrimonio más valioso que tenemos, que es trabajar con independencia y trabajar para la credibilidad por y para el nombre de CNN. Para eso hay, como seguramente en muchos de los medios de ustedes, hay diferentes estamentos que velan porque lo que digamos sea lo correcto, sea balanceado, sea responsable, sea equilibrado. Y bueno, a veces no salimos con lo primero, pero esperamos salir con lo correcto y con lo verdadero. Cuando viajo por Latinoamérica siento que somos a veces un referente para algunos colegas en América Latina, donde bueno, no hay tal libertad, no hay tal independencia por algunas legislaciones locales o por los gobiernos de turno, pues no pueden trabajar con la libertad que tenemos nosotros y que tenemos la facilidad de ir a hacer nuestro trabajo y subirnos a un avión y salir del país. Así que me siento realmente una privilegiada.
Thank you very much, Patricia. María, Elvira.
Gracias.
Muy buenas tardes. ¿Cuál ha sido mi paso por los medios? La verdad es que nunca soñé estar hablando aquí como directora de un medio. Yo soy administradora de empresas, mi profesión es la administración de empresas y he estado vinculada o estuve vinculada a varias empresas antes de entrar a trabajar en el periódico El País. Quiero comentarles que tengo una relación directa con el periódico El País. Mi abuelo fundó el periódico en 1950, de modo que he estado vinculada a la compañía durante muchos años, desde que era pequeña, de alguna manera. Les cuento esta historia porque uno de los retos más grandes que he tenido yo en los últimos 8 años, llevo 20 años en el periódico, llevo 13 años siendo gerente general del periódico, manejando el negocio, la empresa, pero además llevo 8 años no solo manejando la parte gerencial y empresarial, sino también la dirección del periódico, que es la parte periodística y editorial. No soy periodista. Y el reto mayor ha sido poder combinar, primero, aprender de la parte periodística, porque pues la verdad no soñé, jamás, en ser la directora del País. Fue una coyuntura que se dio dentro de la compañía en un momento crítico, hace 8 años, en el cual yo asumí la dirección por un espacio temporal, pero finalmente las directivas de la empresa pensaron que valía la pena reestructurar la compañía y que hubiera una sola cabeza en la empresa y que esa cabeza manejara las 2 áreas de la compañía. Y quiero decirles que ha sido una experiencia maravillosa, he aprendido muchísimo, de todo el equipo periodístico. La verdad es que son ellos quienes me han enseñado, pero creo que ha tenido una cantidad de ventajas muy importantes, y es que estamos manejando la casa editorial El País, estamos manejándola como una sola empresa. Creo que eso ha sido muy beneficioso. No sé si algún día vuelvan a estar la estructura, ¿no?, dividida en dos, pero la verdad es que llevamos 8 años en donde se puede manejar la empresa, ¿no?, con una sola dirección y en un solo rumbo, donde está tanto la parte editorial y periodística como la parte empresarial. Eso ha sido un gran reto, ya llevo 8 años, me ha costado mucho trabajo, me costó mucho trabajo, sigo siendo muy administradora de empresas, pero ya he venido creando un poco de criterio en la parte periodística y haciéndolo también, pues, aprendiendo mucho y dejándome enseñar mucho y con mucha humildad, porque creo que este es un oficio donde hay que ser humilde y aprender todos los días. De modo que ese ha sido un poco mi paso, ¿no? Y ahí voy.
That's great. PJ?
Thank you. PJ Browning, Pamela J. Browning, and I'll talk about PJ later. It's come in quite handy in my 32 years as a newspaper brat, that PJ often is thought of as a male instead of a female, so it has come in handy on certain times. But I started my career, actually I always had my eye set on being an attorney, always had a passion for First Amendment law, and I actually started with my high school newspaper as the school editor, so also always had a love for the newspaper. But I started my career in Springfield, Missouri, in actually the classified advertising department, where I was going to college and I would work at the newspaper all hours of the day. I literally went back, typed copy, went to school, went back and ran the cash register, worked for the news department, whatever was needed. I did that while I finished my career. From Springfield, Missouri, I went on to Colorado, where I became an advertising director. In the States, I would say I worked for Gannett for the first 18 years of my career. And the revenue side, or the business side, was very, very important. And so I was encouraged by who I would consider my mentor today, was the advertising director in Springfield, to really learn the revenue side of the business. So I moved to Colorado, and I became the advertising director. And from there, I moved on to Grand Rapids, Michigan. And in Michigan, ran a larger newspaper for the revenue side of the business. And from Michigan, went to become an advertising director in North Carolina, back at a Gannett newspaper. Again, staying very heavily focused on the revenue side and the business side. Had an executive mentor who I learned a lot from, who was the CFO of the company. So at that time, just another opportunity and a company that really cared about the promotion of women. And that was very helpful to my career. I've been a publisher at 5 different newspapers. My career from North Carolina took me to Pennsylvania, and I was in 2 different areas of Pennsylvania before moving to Georgia as a publisher, then moved to South Carolina. And I've been in South Carolina just over 8 years, was the president publisher of the Sun News in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, before joining the team at the Post and Courier. So it's been an incredible 32-year journey, and I've loved every minute of it, and I've had some incredible mentors along the way, and just learned an incredible amount. Absolutely love what I do. I'm very passionate about the First Amendment. I'm so very proud of the Post and Courier this year, and certainly what media means to me. You know, we won the Pulitzer this year, and just listening to the panel this afternoon, I'll get choked up, but that's really what we're all about, and I'm just incredibly proud of that team. So I'll leave it at that, but it's just been an incredible, incredible job, and what we do every day means so much to the community. So I'm very proud of all of us for the profession that we've chosen.
Thank you all for those wonderful answers so far. Each of you has been involved in many different positions along the way and through your experience, and so one of the things I would love to know is, how has the industry changed for women, or has it? And Patricia, let's start with you again.
Well, I was under the impression that there were more jobs for women in the last 2 decades, especially in the United States. And after doing some research as well, I realized that I was wrong. Although when I traveled to Latin America, in most of the press conferences, the majority of the journalists are women. So I guess it's a different scenario here in the States. I was reading this report from Women's Media Center, and I was really surprised by these numbers. But listen to this. We are talking about United States. In 2013, 28% of TV news directors in the U.S. were women, 28%. 14% of radio stations' general managers were women, 14%. And 17.8% of TV station general managers were women. So if we are lacking presence of journalists in the newsrooms, imagine in the leading executives' posts. I have to report that I work for CNN in Español, and before coming to the panel this morning, I said, please find out how many of our planilla, of our people working for CNN in Español are women. And they said, they sent me the numbers. They said, from all the editorial people working only for our U.S. signal, we are in total 118 employees. Out of those, 66 are women. So I'm very proud. I'm very proud to work for a network where we seem to beat the numbers, the percentages. We definitely have seen some change. I mean, there is more opening for not only women in the newsroom, women as editors, women in the technical part, but in general, as we read, there is much more that we need to do. But I think we also need to blame ourselves in a percentage because we don't let our voices be heard. We don't say to our bosses what we want to do. We are most of the time, I wouldn't say most of the time, but in many cases we just say yes. We need to learn to say no, or we need to learn to say what is that I want to achieve, what are the issues that I'm most interested in, what are the topics that I care the most, in order to be like shaping our path towards the career we want to have. And also to change the set of mind of our managers, male managers, and male decision makers in our companies to, I mean, including our coverage, the diversity, the gender mix, I mean, the cultural diversity that, I mean, that represented our society in this country. So I think we also need to do a more, a more dynamic job in opening the doors for the new women generation in journalism.
Yo también hice algunas averiguaciones de cómo estaba esto y cómo ha evolucionado la participación de las mujeres en los medios de comunicación, tanto a nivel de cargos directivos como en la parte periodística en los últimos 20 años, que es cuando yo he estado en la industria, digámoslo así. Y creo que ha habido una evolución muy importante, estoy hablando en Colombia. Pero creo que esa evolución se ha dado más específica, más que en la industria de los medios, se ha dado en general. Tengo aquí una estadística que muestra que entre los años 2001 y 2010, ¿no?, de 1.381.000 títulos profesionales universitarios que se entregaron en Colombia, el 54.9% fueron entregados a mujeres. De modo que quiere decir que las mujeres están profesionalizándose, las mujeres han venido evolucionando en el sentido de querer ser profesionales, de participar mucho más en la vida profesional, y eso para bien de muchas industrias y de diferentes sectores. En el caso de la industria de los medios o de empresas de medios de comunicación, pues en Colombia tenemos, la verdad, una relación importante en el sentido de que a nivel periodístico, bueno, caramba, hay muchísimas mujeres importantísimas en la vida periodística de Colombia, mujeres que están dirigiendo medios muy importantes, mujeres que están dirigiendo cadenas radiales, no noticieros de televisión importantísimos a nivel nacional, mujeres que están dirigiendo también periódicos, de modo que muy reconocidas y dirigiéndolos en temas, como decía Patricia, están hablando de política, están hablando de coyuntura, están hablando de problemáticas, están hablando de proceso de paz, cubren ese tema, de modo que no son mujeres que únicamente están cubriendo, no, como hay la percepción, las secciones de entretenimiento de los noticieros, ¿no? O que están cubriendo únicamente las secciones de tendencias de los diarios, que son muy valiosas, muy bien leídas, pero estamos hablando de mujeres que están en los temas coyunturales. Además hablé con 3 colegas que son gerentes, ¿no?, de grandes medios de comunicación en Colombia, algunos regionales, otros nacionales, muy importantes, ¿no? Y hablé con 3 de ellas y les pregunté cómo se sentían ellas, que había evolucionado en los últimos años pues la presencia de mujeres y el rol de las mujeres en los medios de comunicación, y que si ellas sentían que ellas, por ser mujer, eran tratadas de manera distinta. Ninguna de las 3 siquiera piensa en el tema, sienten que sencillamente están allí y no sienten que porque así ellas quisieron. Es decir, si queremos estamos allí, si no queremos pues no vamos a estar nunca. O sea, un poco esa fue como la respuesta. Aquí en esta sala también hay una persona muy importante de los medios de Colombia, es la directora ejecutiva de Diarios, que es la doctora Nora Sanín, que lleva con nosotros en el gremio manejando la Asociación de Diarios de Colombia muchísimos años, y es mujer. De modo que yo creo que en Colombia ha evolucionado muy bien, tenemos una representación de mujeres en los medios muy importante, tanto a nivel periodístico como a nivel gerencial, y simplemente lo que yo he podido ver es que si las mujeres nos proponemos llegar en la industria de los medios donde queramos, lo podemos hacer.
32 years in the business, and I can tell you that have been the first female in several of my roles. So, you know, it's been fascinating, but being the first female ad director or the first female publisher, entering into, you know, the boardroom where it was all white males certainly has happened. So it's, I do think when you look at the role of women, though, I personally, over the 32 years, would say that we were improving the number of females in our newsrooms. Certainly the recession, we're down over 30,000 journalists throughout the United States, so things all turned upside down. But before that, I think that you definitely were seeing an uptick in the number of females. But, you know, when newspapers started, if you look at the female readership, I mean, we went with, everybody tried to mirror what was going on in the community and the readership around the particular section. So, you know, in the old days when I started, the features or the lifestyle social section was the female editor. And that was the only section that really made sense for the female, who was typically at home and interested in recipes and their horoscope. And so that's where the female editor started. But we really never, and we still today are not strong in sports, although we have, I know we're sports fans, but we're, you know, we need and encourage more women to go into the sports journalism. And I think that we'll see an increase in that. But, you know, that's even in professional broadcasting. You just don't see that in sports. And you certainly don't see it in the real analytical, political side in newspapers. You know, today when I look across the spectrum, certainly it's a male-dominated when it comes to the editorial pages of the paper. What the states, you know, in the United States, I would say most newspapers have an editorial board, and that editorial board has become more representative, still predominantly men, but I would say most editorial boards today do have a female represented on that board, so that you're starting to see females have more of a voice in that part of the paper. So I think what I would say is we're certainly evolving. The recession didn't help us, cut out a lot of middle managers. But, you know, I do believe that females always have to have an end goal in mind and know what you really want to do for your career, and you do have to ask for that and be very upfront with what those career goals are.
Thank you. So I'm listening again to each of you, and I'm thinking about what you're saying, and I want to know if you think that women are being as strategic about the internal politics as their male colleagues. And some of you said the women need to go and ask. So are they doing that? And how are they handling the politics of their businesses they work within?
I think we are more strategic than men. We are detail-oriented. We are very curious. We want to know what's going on everywhere. So we are much more strategic than men. The problem with women is that we are much more sensitive sometimes. So we take things personally. And that, I think, we need to figure that out to climb the executive ladder. Because sometimes we don't take criticism in a blunt way, the way men do. They just take it and keep on moving. We just tend to think that is personal and that is like a direct attack and is something that is not professional and we are not understood. And I think we need to improve in that department. But also, I think we, the ones that are already in the newsrooms, I think we need to tell our reporters and our editors and the decision makers to invite more women to be part of our articles, of our sound bites, to have quotes from women, specialists in different areas. We tend also as women, when we are reporting, to do the least amount of work is just go to the known male white person to give us the sound bite that we need, especially when there is not a breaking news, when we are just doing something analytical. So I think we also need to look for those women and invite those women as analysts and as an opinion makers to be part of our everyday coverage. I think that also will be strategically very wise on our part to include more women in our coverage.
María, Elvira.
Yo esta pregunta no la entendí muy bien, ¿no? Ahora que Patricia contestó, pues entendí un poco mejor, pero yo tenía aquí un poco anotado algunas cosas sobre ese tema y francamente yo no veo la diferencia en ese sentido. Yo no veo la diferencia en qué tan estratégicas sean las mujeres y los hombres frente a políticas internas o las formas como se manejan internamente en la empresa, la forma para poder ir un poco subiendo dentro de una organización. Yo creo que las mujeres somos distintas, eso está claro, distintas en el sentido que sí somos más sensibles y podemos, pero yo creo que aquí no le veo diferencia de género en cuanto al oficio se refiere, tanto al oficio periodístico como a el tema administrativo o empresarial de los medios. Voy a poner el ejemplo del País, que es el periódico donde yo trabajo, la empresa, y pues les quiero decir que en la redacción de uno de los productos, pues el tradicional, que es el País, no tenemos las 3 editoras más importantes son mujeres. La editora de la sección política es una mujer, la editora de la sección de orden y seguridad, ¿no? Y es mujer, la editora de la sección local es mujer y la jefe de redacción es mujer. Podríamos decir que en la redacción del País la mitad son mujeres, la mitad son hombres. El editor de deportes es hombre, pero hay periodistas mujeres. Entonces, ahí hay una combinación, estamos hablando de 50-50 y yo creo que nos miramos todos igual. Nos miramos, realmente no sé, no le veo ahí como que haya una diferencia muy clara, no podría decirte si hay más estrategia o no de parte, no podría decirlo, pero mientras nos miremos todos iguales dentro de una empresa, pues todos nos vamos a sentir iguales, yo creo eso.
María Elvira, ¿y ganan igual? ¿Ganan igual?
Absolutamente, absolutamente. Ahora, una cosa, Patricia, hay un tema que evidentemente, I'm sorry, PJ, evidentemente hay una diferencia y sigue habiendo en estadísticas diferencia en salarios de hombres y mujeres y en Colombia sigue existiendo una brecha. Se va cerrando y eso a nivel de todas las empresas, es decir, en el mundo laboral sí existe esa diferencia, es la verdad, o sea, ahí están las cifras y es verdad. En el caso, pues, de los, no sé cómo son los otros empresas periodísticas, pero en el caso del País, pues es igual, porque si no, imagínate, de golpe yo no podría estar aquí.
PJ.
Oh, no, thank you. Okay, so this message I feel like is for the women in the room, and I don't know if it's politically correct, but I'm going to tell you what I think anyway, okay? So here's the deal. I'll share a little story. My oldest daughter is married to a guy from France. He's French, and his English isn't very good, and one day he was at the house, and he said to my daughter, Casey, he looked at her and he said, so is this you being bitchy? And Casey looked at me and she said, there are advantages to him not understanding me sometimes. And I tell you that story because after 32 years, I can tell you that we're very emotional and we get our feelings hurt fairly easy. And sometimes we're perceived as being bitchy when we're just trying to get our point across. And there's absolutely differences between men and women, the way we think and the way we do things. And I say to the ladies, sometimes maybe we're not being bitchy, but maybe we are trying to get our point across, and maybe we need to figure out how to draw that line in the sand and figure out the communication and how we need to communicate. I've seen it over and over and over again, and sometimes it's just the way that we approach things. So when you talk about politics in the office, you take a room full of women and you take a room full of men, and I guarantee you it's going to be different. And it's just the way it is. So I really think when I look at what we do as women, it's an opportunity for us to just really back up, think through how we communicate and decide how to pick those battles and communicate, really getting our point across, being direct, but making sure that we make that point and maybe stay away from being bitchy.
Very good point.
That is a good point. I agree, Patricia. It is perception, and as a female leader myself, I wasn't always in this position either, and there weren't very many in this community, and it's great to see more of us. So that's very exciting to me.
And I would just add, I mean, a male can say the same thing that we can say, but it will come right, we'll be bitchy. We've been there.
And again, it's about the perception, how we come across, whether we're considered assertive or are we considered aggressive. And sometimes I think it's just a matter of the method of communication and, again, that perception. So this is really getting more and more interesting to me. I'm getting excited about where we're headed here. So in terms of your roles that lead to senior management, do you get into the senior management, do you feel at the same rate as your male counterparts? Are male counterparts volunteering for those roles and getting them before women get those roles? How do you see that happening? And again, because Patricia's time, we'll let her go first.
I think that men probably are getting those jobs faster because they are volunteering easier. Definitely, my priorities, I'm talking, voy a hablar en español, perdón, desde mi vivencia personal, desde el momento que yo me convertí en madre y tuve hijos, y mi vida obviamente requería mucho más tiempo en casa, pues mis prioridades cambiaron y de repente podría haber avanzado de otra manera en mi carrera, aunque por supuesto no me puedo quejar, pero le di prioridad a mi familia y al tiempo que requerían mis hijos. Yo recuerdo que en el último cambio o reestructuración de la cadena, yo lo único que le pedí a mi jefa, que era nueva, que llegaba a la cadena, le dije, no importa qué me vas a dar o dónde me vas a poner, pero déjame en un horario que yo pueda llegar a mi casa y ver a mis hijos antes de que se vayan a dormir. Porque durante muchos años, cuando eran bebés, yo llegaba muy tarde a casa y ya mis hijos estaban durmiendo. Obviamente pasaba muy buena parte del día con ellos, pero ya cuando entraron al colegio los veía muy poco. Entonces era una prioridad para mí. Y creo que esa limitación no la tendría un hombre, pues porque ellos no están muy dispuestos a pensar primero en la familia y después en el trabajo, porque están educados para ser los que proveen en la casa y creo que esa disyuntiva no la tendría un hombre. Entonces yo sí creo que por las circunstancias particulares de las mujeres, pues a veces unas, digamos, le damos prioridad a a esa parte familiar que es tan importante para la gran mayoría de las mujeres. No significa que es lo que está bien hecho o está mal hecho, pero es lo que algunas preferimos y creo que es muy respetable.
María, Elvira.
Thank you. Antes de contestar un poco la pregunta, quería complementar algo que dijo PJ con respecto a ser bitchy. Resulta que además es que salió esto precisamente hace 2 semanas o 3 antes de venir a Charleston. Salió en una revista muy importante en Colombia que se llama Semana, la revista Semana. Salió un artículo de un estudio que hizo Vital Smarts, que es una organización de Utah en Estados Unidos. Fue publicado en la revista Semana los resultados de ese estudio y resulta que las mujeres que están en los cargos directivos altos de las compañías en general, que a las mujeres les sale muy caro ponerse bravas o ser bitchy, como dijo PJ, porque son consideradas, cuando se ponen enérgicas o son bravas o son fuertes frente a diferentes temas, pues entonces son consideradas que están locas o que son histéricas o bitchy, mientras que a los hombres, no, cuando se ponen bravos y son contundentes y no son histéricos, sino que tienen muy buen carácter y muy buena templanza. Y en el estudio decía que las mujeres que son así, que tienen ese temperamento y manejan así, no, incluso puede llegar a afectarles su nivel salarial frente a los hombres. Ese estudio está en la revista Semana, fue publicado y es de una firma que se llama Vital Smarts. Y bueno, me cayó de perlas porque fue hace como 3 semanas que salió. Entonces quería complementar lo que estaba diciendo PJ. Pero con respecto a si los hombres están llegando más, yo creo que, y estoy de acuerdo con Patricia, definitivamente las mujeres, pues sí tendremos que hacer más sacrificios. Los hombres están alzando la mano un poco más, sí, la pueden alzar más, porque sí, porque no tienen, no, lo que dice Patricia, que es ese apego y esa función y ese rol dentro de la familia que tienen las madres. En el caso mío particular, y pues no, quiero decirles que sí, yo he hecho muchos sacrificios, ¿no? Sí, yo no llegaba a la casa a las 4 de la tarde o a las 5, pues a hacer las tareas con mis hijos, no lo hice, fue una decisión que tomé, ¿no? Y francamente, pues, no sé si fue mal o bien en ese momento, pero yo alcé la mano. Y alcé la mano como si estuviera alzándola cualquier hombre. No sé si me equivoqué, pero pues mis hijos están bien, gracias a Dios, ¿no? Pero sí es, yo creo que eso hace que para el hombre sea más fácil alzar la mano, o ser volunteer y llegar, es así, y es normal, y eso, es así es.
Well, I guess I should, my husband's not here, but I have to, he'll like this and all the men in the room. I absolutely would not be able to be where I am today without a strong support system. So to Carrie Browning, thank you, because he's meant a lot to my career, and it's absolutely a balancing act. And, I remember the days going, being at the meeting and honestly having on a blue pump and a brown pump shoe, thinking, I left at dark 30 in the morning, and it was just one of those things that, I was just wore out, absolutely wore out. So it's absolutely a sacrifice. I have 3 children, grown children, and there's certainly decisions and sacrifices that you make, to the men in the room and those women that have the opportunity to hire today. I would say that, we live in a different world today, good and bad, but on the good side is that we're no longer tied to what we call brick and mortar, the building. And I think that sometimes we just have to be willing to ask the question. Sometimes the easy decision is not always the right decision, but, the easy decision is somebody that, they're always at work at, 7:30 in the morning, they're always here late at night, they don't have a personal life, they don't do anything, that'd be the great person. But sometimes we have to reach beyond that and ask the questions, because I don't necessarily need somebody in the office from 8 to 5. They may be a fantastic contributor, from noon to 4, or maybe they need to leave at 3 to pick up their children, but after the kids are in bed, I bet if they really are career-oriented, they're going to be back on that cell phone, and they're going to be answering emails at 8 or 9 o'clock at night. So I think sometimes it's just asking the questions about what do you see in your career, and what can you contribute to the organization, and maybe it's just not the old standard answers. But I agree with both of the panelists.
Anita, and I would like to just add something to what PJ said. I think the more understanding policy that the company you work for has, the more engaged you are as an employee, the more loyal, and whenever if they are flexible from Monday to Friday, the day they need you to work 36 hours a day, you're gonna be there because they work for you when you need it.
I think you've really answered the next question I was going to ask, and that was about the cliche of women having to balance work and family and how that resonates in all industries. And y'all talked about trying to change the rules a little bit. And PJ, you mentioned the hours that people work, and I mean, I have people that write to me at 4 o'clock in the morning, so I know that their schedules are different. They may leave the office at 4 o'clock, but they're still working and they're still checking, and it's not that I want people working 24 hours a day, but at the same time, they know they have to get their job done and they do what it takes. So how did each of you manage to do what it takes to balance your lives so that you could be in the leadership role that you're in today?
Well, as PJ said, you cannot do it without a supportive husband and without a network that will give you a hand when you have to pack, in the middle of the night and go to the airport and you don't know when you're coming back. And when you are a journalist, no matter what, you are a journalist 24 hours a day. You have your BlackBerry, your Twitter account, you're connected no matter in what vacation you are, in what island in the Caribbean. You have to, if you're a journalist, you want to know what's going on. When I'm like 5 hours without reviewing what's going on, I get anxious. It's like, what am I missing? What am I missing? Because it's just it's like, I need to know. It's in your blood. So anyway, to balance, you need like a network. Your husband, your nanny, your aunt, your sister, your friend, definitely to help you with kids. And I was very lucky because I'm still working for a 24-hour network. So I knew that if they cannot get me, from 9 to 5, they will accommodate me somewhere, somehow, in certain phases of my life. When my kids were small, I was able to work late hours. I had no problems. But then when my kids turned into teenagers, I wanted to be home. And now that I have one in college and the other is preparing to go to college, I still ask myself, I still wonder if I just sacrifice a lot of family time just to build my career. And I don't know if that was, the question is, was it worth it? Was it worth it? And I don't know. I don't know the answer. I don't know the answer. It's like, time flies. It's like I don't have a daughter at home anymore. I miss so many of her school events, and I'm just saying, wow, I knew when I left home, I never came back. So I know she's not coming back, and I'm not recovering that time. So I'm still wondering. But I think if you want to be sane, if you want to be healthy, if you want to be happy, you have to balance. You have to balance. You cannot operate 24-hour in office mode. Obviously, if you're a journalist, you want to know what's going on, but that doesn't mean that you have to stay 20 hours at the office. If you want to be efficient, you have to manage your hours and you have to anticipate what's going on. And obviously, if you work in news, you have to be ready to be on call anytime and just go. That's for sure. But then you have that give and take. Then the company is flexible with you in so many things. And I think in journalism, in media in Latin America, I think there is a lot of room to maneuver and to learn and to advance, because it seems like the person that works 24 hours is the most efficient person, and I think that's wrong. If they need to go and take their daughter to the doctor, if they need to go and do something at the school, I mean, they're not allowed and they don't want to do it because they are going to be perceived that, oh, they cannot count on me, and somebody else is going to have advantage because they don't have kids. And I think that's totally wrong, because then they're not going to be as loyal and as dedicated, as happy employees and as productive as you expect them to be. So I think the companies have to be much more flexible, especially in Latin America, and respect their shifts. I mean, we're journalists, but I mean, we get sick, we get exhausted. I mean, we work under a lot of pressure. We need days off after we've worked, 24 hours in 3 days in a row. So it's like there need to be a balance also in the executive level to cope with the environment in which we operate.
María Elvira.
Sí, es cierto que lo que había dicho, pues lo que dije antes, que sí hay sacrificios indiscutiblemente. Las mujeres, pues tenemos que sacrificar para poder llevar una rutina, no como la de un hombre empresario, un hombre profesional. Y eso me ha pasado a mí, no me cabe la menor duda. Ahora que Patricia preguntaba si ha valido la pena, no, pues yo prefiero no pensar mucho. Yo prefiero no preguntarme mucho, pero sí saber que lo que he construido ha sido con mis hijos y con mi marido. O sea, no lo he construido yo sola, de modo que ha tenido que valer la pena, ¿no? Y pues nunca pensar que lo que se ha hecho en los últimos 20 años, pues en el caso mío, pues que ha habido regrets, un poco como arrepentimientos. O sea, trato de no pensar eso, más bien todos los días le doy gracias a Dios por la oportunidad que me ha puesto, ¿no?, de estar donde estoy y por haber tenido una carrera y tener una carrera profesional que me gusta y es parte importantísima de mi vida y es lo que necesito. Pero hay un tema que sí me preocupa y pasa en Colombia, y yo sí creo que, y yo como gerente o presidente o CEO de la compañía, pues puede pasar, y les quiero ser francos y sinceros. Las mujeres cada vez quieren asumir puestos más importantes y tienen las capacidades para hacerlo porque se han preparado, y yo le estoy diciendo desde el punto de vista de una empresa periodística o una empresa de periódicos, que es donde yo estoy. Pero sí hay algo que me parece que les está haciendo daño, no se está haciendo daño, y es un poco esa discriminación positiva. Eso de que es que tiene que haber entonces X número de mujeres en el Congreso de la República o no sé dónde, no, porque son mujeres, pues yo creo que eso nos hace daño a las mujeres. No, exacto, o sea, yo sé que son espacios que se abran para que haya mayor participación, pero es que por ser mujer no tienen por qué estar en ningún sitio. Todas las mujeres tenemos que estar donde tengamos que estar porque somos buenas para lo que vamos a hacer y porque somos competentes y porque somos preparadas, no porque seamos mujeres. Pero por otro lado, resulta que entonces se está pensando aumentar el número de días o de meses en que las mujeres tienen derecho a su licencia de maternidad a 6 meses. Yo les digo francamente, yo como gerente general de la compañía, si llego a tener que buscar, voy a poner un ejemplo, el cargo de el Chief Marketing and Sales Officer de la empresa, pues yo miro a ver si la persona está joven, si es una mujer, está joven, no, y está en plan de tener familia. Me parece muy preocupante que se vaya 6 meses del año. O sea, eso creo que afecta a las mujeres, y yo creo que ese tipo de cosas no puede afectar realmente a que las mujeres lleguen a unos niveles no importantes. O sea, por un lado se generan salvavidas y se generan oportunidades para las mujeres, pero por otro lado también está diciendo, las mujeres quieren tener una familia y que van a hacerlo, pues no vas a poder contar con ellas el tiempo que requieras para unos cargos importantes, donde es importante la presencia permanente, ¿no?, de la persona, pues del profesional, sea hombre o mujer. Entonces, ahí hay un juego como delicado y hay que saber manejarlo, yo creo.
PJ.
Thank you. So I have 2 stories. The first one, my first promotion that I had I was 1 week away from delivering my first child. And I tell you that because the ad director at the time was male, but the female that gave me the it was a female that gave me the promotion. And she did have to make a case that I was going to be out. I mean, I had 1 week and then I was out for 6 weeks, but she said she's who I want. So I think, you just really have to prove yourself and find that right person willing to give you the chance. But where I was going to go with this, so there was a commercial, and this just came to my mind. Again, probably not politically correct, but so here's the deal. There was a commercial that's going to date me, and this was in the United States commercial, and it went something like this. I can bring home the bacon, fry it up in a pan, and never let you forget your man. Okay, that commercial did a lot of really bad things for women because we can't do it all. And I think it was some soap commercial, lady in a tub washing herself off. But I think the point of that commercial was we can do it all. Well, we can't do it all, but we spin a lot of plates and we think that we can do it all. The support system is just incredibly important. And I think that as women, sometimes we do believe we can do it all, and we fail to communicate that we're overwhelmed sometimes. Sometimes we just need to be willing to reach out and say, my plate's full, and I really need help on this. And, I mean, I worked the 7 a.m. to 9 o'clock p.m., had the 3 kids, and it wasn't easy, but the support system was incredibly important. And, I remember my husband wasn't a good cook by any means, but I do remember the times that I came home and he had made, potato soup and the potatoes were raw. But, or I came home and we had tuna casserole with peas. We never eat peas. We don't even like peas. I'm like, where'd you get the peas? Well, I went to the neighbor because the recipe called for it. So, he was trying to support me in those many ways, and I love him for that. But that support system was incredibly important because I was that individual that absolutely thought I could come home, do it all, take care of the kids, and not have him, worry about anything. But I just think it's incredibly important for us to have the right kind of communication as women and make sure that that communication helps steer us towards where we want to be in our career if that's what we choose to do.
Thank you so much. And Patricia's got to leave us in just a minute, so I wanted to ask you. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I still would love to ask you this question to give you the opportunity to kind of sum up your thoughts. What would you say to the women in this room today is the most important lesson that you've learned to advance your career?
Yo diría adaptarse al cambio. Nowadays, you have to be flexible to change. Decir claramente lo que quieres hacer, compartir tus necesidades con tu jefe, con tu empresa, saber decir no. Creo que las mujeres no somos a veces capaces de decir no, y creo que vivimos siempre con el temor de que ese no va a ser malentendido, y creo que hay que saber decir no puedo, no me dan las manos, no me dan las horas del día, tengo este u otro compromiso. Creo que eso puede ser muy importante. Y creo que también para finalizar, aprender a buscar ese balance, porque si no vivimos estresados, vivimos las mujeres con un sentimiento de culpa absurdo, sobre todo, o sea, una cosa es trabajar de 9 a 5, a 7 a 8, pero regresar a tu casa. Otra cosa es cuando te vas 15 días, 20 días y estás fuera de tu casa, a veces mes y medio. Entonces eso es muy duro para una madre con hijos pequeños. Entonces creo que es muy importante buscar ese balance, tratar de que el tiempo con tu familia sea realmente muy productivo. Algunas veces te vas a sentir celosa de tu esposo, que sabes las historias del colegio de tus hijos y comparten un montón de cosas que tú llegas a la casa y dices, ¿qué me perdí? ¿Pero qué me perdí? O sea, se me están yendo la vida de mis hijos y yo soy como una mujer que lo mira a través de una vitrina sin participar. Entonces, creo que en algún momento tienes que hacer esa decisión si crees que puedes tener un equilibrio que obviamente es innegable que va a afectar tu vida profesional de alguna manera, porque no vas a poder estar en en las que quieres, vas a tener que escoger. Pero créanme que vale la pena, o sea, vale la pena porque vas a ser una persona mucho más integral con todas las cosas buenas que te rodean y que te importan en la vida. La familia, el trabajo, la salud, la felicidad, el bienestar de los que quieres.
Thank you so much. I know that, you said you have a few more minutes. I'm only concerned about you because of our bad weather and it's traffic time in order to make your flight. So I want to make sure and say thank you so much to you for your participation in our panel, Patricia, and wish you a safe trip.
I hope I can check the rest of your answers online, or are you
Hope
streaming
so.
these, or yeah? Good, good.
Wonderful. Be safe. Thank you. Thank you.
Patricia se vaya, antes de que Patricia se vaya, yo quisiera que le diéramos un aplauso. Hoy es su cumpleaños.
¿Ves los sacrificios que tiene uno que hacer en la carrera? Pero lo sé balancear, así que me voy a tiempo a celebrarlo con mi familia. Gracias, gracias.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time. And yes, see, it's about balance. She has to go where she has to go. It is a sacrifice. Oh, how nice. Very special that she gave us this great amount of time. So now let's go back to our conversation. And, although there's a slow process, more women are entering executive level posts in the media and in this industry. Do you think women in these positions of leadership are doing enough to mentor and guide other women up the ladder? Or are we our own worst enemy? María.
Creo que ahí también hay una diferencia entre los hombres y mujeres, pero no tiene que ver con su capacidad de ser profesional o de hacer bien su trabajo, sino simplemente con la forma de ser de los hombres y las mujeres. En eso yo pensaría que de pronto, y no es que lo haya visto directamente en la empresa donde yo estoy, pero de pronto entre las mujeres pueden haber un poco más de celos en ese sentido, o sea, la mujer que piensa que la otra puede llegar a ocupar, es un poco innato, ¿no? En las mujeres creo que los hombres no tienen eso, pero que yo haya visto específicamente que las mujeres no son menos buenas que los hombres en preparar a aquellas nuevas generaciones o quien eventualmente de hecho pueda ocupar el cargo que tiene uno actualmente, pues no. Yo francamente creo que eso es una de las cosas que tenemos que cumplir muy bien y que tiene que estar dentro de las competencias, es saber, ¿no?, cuándo es el momento de retirarnos, cuándo es el momento de hacernos a un lado, ¿no?, para que llegue un hombre o una mujer, ¿no?, a ocupar el cargo de uno. Yo pienso que eso es una parte fundamental, ¿no?, de los hombres y las mujeres, o sea, no estoy diferenciando ahí, y es saber cuándo es necesario hacerse a un lado, o sea, cuándo ya la empresa requiere algo distinto, cuándo la empresa entró en una etapa diferente o cuándo ya uno está viejito y ya no está aportando lo que debería de aportar a la empresa, o sea, creo que es eso.
All right, PJ, let's hear what you have to say.
Yeah, so 32 years in the business, I would tell you that the professional jealousy does exist, but between women, there's an innate jealousy. So I agree with you in that terms. And, I think there's so much opportunity for us to work closer together. And I think it takes some special people. Women along the way certainly have encouraged me, but I've also had women that were jealous. And you may look at yourself, I always just believed in hard work, and hard work was going to get me a reward for what I did, but it really did make a difference on who your boss was, and it shouldn't. It absolutely should not, but I think that sometimes certainly in my career, working for female bosses was definitely harder being a female than working for male bosses. And so I do think we kind of have to, we make ourselves, prove ourselves a little bit more sometimes on female to female. And so I would just say that it's an absolute opportunity for us to encourage one another instead of worrying about professional jealousy.
Thank you so much. So, we have some options here. I have a couple of other questions, and one of those, I think I'll just go ahead and ask. I'm thinking about culturally, do you see differences from the community that you work in and the community that you're in here in America to yours in Colombia? Do you see cultural differences in how you, as a woman, are appreciated or or looked at or viewed or respected? I'm not sure of the differences between the two countries.
No sé, Anita, no puedo contestarte, no sé, pero yo sí creo que la vida de las mujeres en Estados Unidos, las mujeres profesionales, o sea, en Estados Unidos o en Colombia o en América Latina, llamémoslo así, pero específicamente en Colombia, creo que sí son distintas. La vida en Estados Unidos es distinta a la vida en Colombia. Ahora PJ hablaba un poco de esa ayuda que tiene que tener para poder estar trabajando y dedicada a su profesión desde las 7 de la mañana hasta las 9 de la noche. Yo también, esos son mis horarios, no todos los días, pero bueno, no a las 7, muy temprano a las 7, pero sí hasta las 9 de la noche. Pero la vida en Colombia, por decir algo, uno tiene acceso a más ayuda, cosa que aquí no. Ella contaba cómo su marido, por ejemplo, ella llegaba a su casa y su marido le tenía preparado una comida. En mi vida, mi marido me ha preparado una comida cuando yo llego al trabajo, jamás. Es que yo llego al trabajo y él no ha llegado todavía. Entonces, es distinto, o sea, la vida es distinta allá. Yo diría, y lo puedo decir, tal vez es más fácil, ¿no?, en Colombia, que una persona que tenga la posibilidad de tener ayuda, ¿no?, para poder dedicarse a su vida profesional, pues la tenga. Yo creo que es más fácil en ese sentido a la vida que tienen en Estados Unidos. De modo que eso también ha permitido que yo lo haga. Si yo no tuviera la ayuda que tengo, ¿no?, de las personas que viven conmigo, no estoy hablando de mi marido y mis hijos únicamente, ya mis hijos están viviendo en otras ciudades, y mi marido trabaja igual o más, pero sí las personas que trabajan en la casa con nosotros, pues sí permiten que uno pueda dedicarse pues a su profesión realmente, y eso de alguna manera hace que uno se desentienda, entre comillas, ¿no?, de la casa, y eso es bueno, pues no sé, es malo, pues tampoco sé, pero así es.
Yeah, I don't know the differences. I guess I would go back to probably the support system. That's incredibly important. And I'll not a slam on you men in the audience by any means, but my husband never volunteered to cook, right? I have to leave him a list of things to do. So as long as he has a list, he'll help me get them done. But that was again a conversation we had to have early on, because it really would have prevented me from moving on, because I was very excited about my career, but at the same time knew that I couldn't do both. So it was certainly a sit-down discussion. But I don't know of enough to know the other cultural differences.
Thank you for sharing that, because I think those are things people need to hear and know, and again, it's about who you surround yourself with, and it may be that you have to get other help outside of your family if you want to be able to find the way to get balance. So let's close out, and PJ, how about if you start and tell us the greatest lesson what is the most important lesson that you have learned to advance your career, and then we'll let María Elvira.
I would have to say, flexibility, and certainly having a fantastic mentor. I had a mentor, Larry Whitaker was my mentor in Springfield, Missouri, and I remember when he applied for his job as advertising director, I wanted to be the retail advertising manager, and he came in and, big man, sit down, and he was like, so tell me what you like about your job. And I just started spewing everything that I loved about my job, and he just looked at me, he said, you may like me, you might not like me, but he was like, you'll learn to respect me and you'll learn a lot from me. And I thought, what a jerk. But anyway, he's my mentor to this day. I love him. And what he always told me, and it's held true, he said, PJ, I will never come to you and ask you if you want to do something. I will never come to you and ask you if you want this training program, if you want to learn something. He said, I'm not going to do that. But he said, if you come to me and you ask me what you want to learn, or you want to go to a class, you want to go to a seminar, he said, I'll tell you yes. He said, but you have to be the one to want to do that. And it was a great advice, and he held up his end of the bargain, and I feel like that's why I'm able to do what I do today.
En el caso mío hay pues, más que una lección, es algo que yo durante todo este tiempo he implementado mucho, pues he utilizado mucho, y es preguntar. O sea, me parece que eso es fundamental. Hay veces uno cree que uno no está listo para tomar ciertas decisiones o hacer ciertas cosas, y es probable que no, pues entonces uno pregunta. Yo he sido muy buena preguntando, a mí me gusta preguntar, y no me da pena que la gente no sepa que yo no sé, no importa. Pero preguntando se aprende, y preguntando y preguntando y preguntando, sin ser cansón, pero preguntando, pues uno puede tener más elementos para tomar decisiones. Y yo creo que en estos 20 años he tenido unos retos por delante, pero además una responsabilidad muy grande, porque es que tengo una responsabilidad no solo con todos los empleados de la empresa, no, mis compañeros de trabajo, mis colegas que están aquí, de otros periódicos de Colombia, sino también con mi familia. Mi familia es mi familia, que es la socia y la fundadora del periódico, que me han dado la confianza de depositar en mí un poco los dos roles, ¿no?, de la empresa, y bueno, eso pesa en la espalda un poquito, adicional a todo el trabajo, y todo pesa un poquito porque además uno pues tiene que atender, ¿no?, a la familia, que eso es otro tema distinto, es como otra empresa, ¿no? Pero sí es preguntar. Primero uno puede hacer lo que uno quiere hacer, o sea, lo que realmente uno quiere hacer lo puede hacer. Si no está convencido, pregunte. Y si todavía no está convencido, vuelva a preguntar. Si no conoce, pregunte. Siempre va a haber gente al lado de uno que quiere lo mejor para uno. Y yo he tenido la fortuna de tener al lado mío durante todo este tiempo gente que quiere que a mí me vaya bien. Y por eso me ha ido bien. De modo que siempre busque lo que cree que puede tener y lo que quiera. Se puede. O sea, la verdad es que sí. No nos rindamos y no pensemos, y es algo pues que yo la verdad siempre he pensado, no pensemos que es que somos diferentes que los hombres, es decir, tratemos de no pensar eso, somos iguales. Cuando yo llegué a la dirección del periódico y cuando llegué a la gerencia, me acuerdo que me hacían algunas entrevistas, ¿usted se ha dado cuenta que usted es la primera mujer directora de este periódico? No me he dado cuenta, y era la primera, pero no importa. O sea, no me doy cuenta porque sencillamente no lo tomo en cuenta, no es algo importante para mí, no debe de ser algo importante. Gracias.
I want to thank you both so very, very much, because the answers that you've given, actually, men, they really apply to you as well. There are many of you in the audience, but if you don't ask for what you want or what you hope to achieve, you're never going to reach that level. So male or female, that's a really important message, in my opinion, for anyone. In leadership, if you want to move up, you have to ask and you have to seek it. So I think y'all have given us some incredible answers today, from how to behave, as a female, and things about our own behaviors we need to think about because of how we're perceived, but at the same time, messages that really apply to all of us about how we have to seek to get ahead, and also about balance within the family. And those are things that in my value system and my core values of my business, I think those are all critical. Not only do I want we, the females, to have balance, but I think men need to also learn to have balance and be more partners in their relationships. So thank you for what you've shared today, because you have had some of those partnerships. We need to give a round of applause to our audience, to PJ, from our audience to our speakers, PJ Browning and to María, Elvira, Domínguez. Thank you both so very, very much.